All right, everybody, your favorite segment of the podcast, debatable, buy low, sell high. So this guy everyone has been talking about lately, and that's Tyrell Williams on the Raiders. So the reason why he's on my list is because he hasn't played since week 4, but before that, he was definitely the wide receiver 1 on the Raiders. Foot injury, but one good thing is he's had his bye already in week 6. He seems to be healthy, and if he is playing this week, he gets a really good matchup against the Houston Texans, which should be a shootout this week. They're going to be throwing the ball all over the place, and Tyrell Williams, he should be the number 1 guy again, assuming he's healthy. Darren Waller has been their number 1 in his absence. He had a huge game. I'll get to him later, but some people have dropped Tyrell Williams in the meantime. And now's a good time to pick him up if you can, or make a trade for him because, he was a solid wide receiver on the Raiders as the number 1 guy.
We just seen someone who has him on their waivers
right.
in the live chat. Also, Raiders defense sucks, so they have to throw.
They will be throwing. Carr's going to be slanging it. So this guy, next guy, George Kittel on the Super Bowl bound 49ers.
Whoa.
He's coming off he is coming off his worst game of the season in week 7 against Washington. He was non-existent, and he's actually only had 1 touchdown on the year, which is very surprising, which was in week 5 against the Browns. I just think that the turnaround has to be coming soon. He's too good of a player. I think also now with Sanders in the mix, maybe George Kittle gets open more. He gets more less looks from the defense, and he has a great opportunity at home this week against Carolina. I think they'll be in the red zone a lot. George Kittle should have a touchdown in this game. So, if you're one of the people who can trade for Kittle, the owner's trying to trade him away, get George Kittle before he breaks out. Now's the time. And my last buy low is Nick Chubb. And the reason why he's on this list is because he is about to have the worst game of his season this week in week 8 against the Patriots. There's no way that the Patriots are going to let Nick Chubb have a great game against them. It's just not happening. Their defense is too good. I just see a pretty disappointing game where he'll probably get like maybe 10 points. People are going to be low on him. Also, who's coming back? Kareem Hunt is coming back, so a lot of people are expecting that to happen. But even if Kareem comes back, I don't think that he is going to monopolize and take over all the touches from Nick Chubb. I think Nick Chubb's still their guy. He's a workhorse back, and things will get better starting week 11 against Pittsburgh, and week 12 he has Miami. So if you're one of the people who can get Nick Chubb and their owner wants to trade him away, now is the time to get Nick Chubb.
Just want to tell you guys that most people are the Nick Chubb truthers, whether they traded for him or drafted him. So a lot of them don't think that Hunt is going to really steal a lot of carries. And but there are some. So you find owners that are down on Chubb after this game and are worried about Kareem Hunt. They do exist because I have got plenty of questions too, like, hey, should I be worried? Like, is he gonna get touches? They are out there. I'm just saying, like, they're also the other side is like people who have Nick Chubb in Dynasty just think he's the greatest and Hunt's not gonna do anything. And so there's both sides of the coin. So you just got to find those that are just scared and worried.
Right. Like the people that are worried are mostly like novice players, I've noticed. But they are out there, and novice players, they panic. So I'm sure there are people that are scared that Kareem Hunt's coming back. They don't like the news that he's coming back, and they're like, okay, I got to sell high. Like, this is how, I got to get rid of Chubb and get something in return before he comes back and loses all his value. I mean, I've thought of it. So if I've thought of it, other people have thought of it as well. Now to my sell highs. So the number 1 sell high on this list is for obvious reasons, and that's Marvin Jones, who last week went off against the Vikings and Xavier Rhodes, who's supposed to be a stout defense and a great corner. He went off for 4 touchdowns. I don't know how he did it because he was horrible before that. He only had 1 touchdown through 6 games.
I know how. Well,
How?
Stafford's good, but like a lot of teams, it's not like he's the guy. You know, like he spreads it around. I seen Hawkinson, I seen Amendola. We even seen just a little bit of J.D. McKissick in the past game. Marv Jones, and of course we seen Galladay. Like it's not, this is what happens to a lot of teams. Marvin Jones is good, but he's not great.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So this is sort of similar to the Will Fuller situation a couple weeks back where he had 4 touchdowns and his value was at an all-time high. Marvin Jones right now, it will never be at a higher value point than this week. So, I mean, he has a really good matchup too this week against the Giants. So he should have another good game, back-to-back good games. So if you can get something good for him, and I've seen his name thrown around in a lot of trades this week, now is the time to sell on Marvin Jones before he regresses back to his average self. And it was an anomaly because they targeted him 13 times last week, and I just don't see that kind of volume, happening again.
So, yeah, and it's a good comparison. So, we know Deshaun Watson's going to ball out. We know Stafford's going to ball out. At least we're very confident in that. But we never know when Will Fuller's going to ball out. We never know when Marv Jones is going to ball out. And that's the problem. It's like we know these guys throw a little bit. We know the quarterback's been playing well, but I don't trust this wide receiver. I need a more consistent wide receiver. Why can't we all just own Michael Thomas? Just that consistent
or Godwin
wide receiver. Oh, well. The God of all wins, of course.
Yes, win God.
That's only a dream that you guys can imagine to have Godwin. Only I can have Godwin in multiple leagues.
That's true. I only have him one, but I'm very happy with him.
Yeah.
So the next guy on my list, a lot of people probably see this name like, wow, you'd be crazy to trade Darren Waller, the Walrus. He just went off last week against Green Bay, and he had 32 points because he had 2 touchdowns and 126 yards, and he looked every bit the tight end one that you expected him to be. But the matter of the fact is, this is his highest value as well. And now that Tyrell Williams is back in the Raiders, he's gonna, he's not gonna get as many targets. It's fair to say. And I'm not saying you should trade Darren Waller, but just shop him around, see what's out there, because sometimes people get enamored with like the name, Darren Waller, like they really want a good tight end, elite tight end. They haven't had one all year, and they'll throw you some crazy deals for a guy like Darren Waller who's coming off, a huge performance. So
I even told this guy to make a bad trade basically to get Darren Waller today.
You did,
because he had Will Dissly and the other tight ends I don't remember, Darren Fells.
So like, so this is exactly the situation.
And I was like, do it. He had, he had like a stud, and I just was like, just do it. Because he had Devontae Adams. I was like, Devontae Adams will be back within 2 weeks, I hope. He'll be back soon. Just do it and get well. Like, I don't want this guy starting Darren Fells every week.
But know that last week was his only, touchdown game. He had 2 touchdowns. Before that, he had none.
None?
So that's got to be an –
Was it none?
He had none.
Because I know he didn't have any first week. I know he had a duddy. Well, his value is at an all-time high.
That's the point.
So, yeah. even if he still balls out and is a top 3 tight end, that's what he is now. So, it is at an all-time high. So,
yeah. So, you can get a king's ransom for Darren Waller right now.
Yeah.
So, just shop him around. Just see what you can get.
Who can we get for Waller? Honestly, you might be able to get Hopkins.
You might. Yeah, that's so high. Maybe Cooper Kupp even.
Get Cooper Kupp. If the guy is like if he's a guy who was 3-0 and now he's 4-3 and exactly. He had Will Dissly and he was talking trash, or he had he drafted Njoku or just whatever, like the tight end.
Anyone who was a bad tight end situation, that's who would want Waller.
Because those guys are looking at you. They're like, wow, I wish I had that Waller on my team. Like, that would be really, my team would be perfect. And then, boom, they get a trade offer. And who knows? Be like, hey, man, I got other offers waiting. I don't have all day.
Yep. Get creative, guys, because that's what is fun about fantasy sometimes, is wheeling and dealing, getting creative, looking around the landscape of the other teams in your league and seeing who has a hole, who needs what, and then being able to, use that to your advantage.
Tyler says RB2 value for Waller. I said no, low end RB1. Aim higher.
Ooh, aim higher.
Why would you want to trade? Why would you want to get RB2? All running backs suck this year. If you're not like one of the big ballers, you suck. Yeah, get a RB2. No, we want a RB1. Who's a low end RB1 you can get? At least try to get.
Connor maybe.
Le'Veon Bell. You don't like him, but
yeah. Maybe on Bell.
Yeah, Connor.
Sure.
Yeah, Connor.
Connor's like realistic, I think.
Mark Ingram's too low.
Yeah, that's too low.
You can get Mark Ingram and another player though too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Throw in a receiver.
But that's good. We mentioned Mark Ingram. That's like we get like that's not like way too low, but too low. So you would
Marlon Mack.
Marlon Mack, perfect. Yes, low end RB1.
Nailed it.
There you go. And that's like an easy. You can make that easily happen.
That's low hanging fruit.
Yeah,
for trade experts
sure,
out there,
dude.
savvy traders out there.
Marlon Mack on a decent team, good O line. Yeah, for sure.
That's the type of targets you got. So let's end on this. Chase Edmonds, the hottest name in fantasy this week. So obviously he's on this list because he had 3 touchdowns last week, and he was the RB1 in the running back position, and that's just not going to happen again. This week he plays the Saints, who have a tough run defense. Then week 9 he plays the Niners, and then week 11 he plays the Niners again, and then we don't know what's happening with David Johnson. Is he coming back? Is he not? And then they just signed 2 more backup running backs. So Chase Edmonds, you can get something good for him right now if you trade him now before he plays this next game. Or even if he does do good next game.
Chase Edmonds was involved in the most trade questions today.
Yes,
I've got
for sure.
like 15% of all trade questions had Chase Edmonds in it, at least.
Yes.
Really more, actually.
If you have him, you are in the power position. You can make trades because people want to chase, no pun intended, the points of week 7, and they might never get that again, realistically.